Last week, the Union Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, said the government would love to see the world's largest contract chip maker, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, invest in India, among other firms. His statement came amid the government's efforts to attract semiconductor companies with a $10 billion incentive scheme launched last month. As India tries to woo one Taiwanese giant, another has been embroiled in a labor issue at its factory near Chennai in Tamil Nadu. Protests started at Foxconn's factory after more than 250 women workers who live at one of the company's hostels had to be treated for food poisoning. The factory employs 17,000 workers and makes iPhones for Apple. The Taiwanese company is the world's biggest contract electronics manufacturer. The factory has been shut down since December 18. Some of the women told a news outlet that workers slept on the floor in rooms that housed between 6 to 30 women. The toilets reportedly had no running water, and the food sometimes had worms in them. Food safety officials closed the hostel's kitchen after finding rats and poor drainage. Apple and Foxconn accepted that some dormitories and dining rooms at the factory did not meet the required standards. In fact, Foxconn attracted global media attention after 14 workers committed suicide at its factories in China in 2010 over low pay and stressful work conditions. For Apple, this is the second incident involving a supplier in India in a year. In December 2020, thousands of contract workers at a factory owned by Wistron destroyed equipment and vehicles over alleged non-payment of wages. We spoke with K. Ashok Rao of NCOA, who told us about the way workers are treated in India.
In India, we treat human labor as if they're just an add-on. In Tamil Nadu, what I read in the media is that in textiles, they have what is called system workers, where a woman is employed and she's not given any salary. She's just maintained like an animal. And all her salary is kept for dowry. That's why she's called system worker. Now you can't, and here I read in the newspaper that food was given with worms. I mean, we can't treat human beings like animals and expect them to produce highly sophisticated equipment. That the two don't gel.
There is also another hurdle that India faces as it strives to become a manufacturing hub.
Chairman of Apple, I want to quote exact words of this man from an interview that he gave. He said, the popular conception is that companies come to China because of low labor costs. But the truth is, China has stopped being a low labor cost many years ago. The reason to come to China is because of skills, the quality of skills in one location and the type of skills it is. The vocational expertise is very, very deep here. And I give education system a lot of credit for continuing to push on even when others are de-emphasizing vocationalization. Now, this is very important. You cannot get into high tech without having very high skilled people. And we don't consider people as very important. You know, we had a national skilling program where we were teaching low skills. See, what you have to do is you have to say, okay, in the year 2025, we are going to enter manufacture of iPhones in a big way. So what kind of skills are required? What kind of specialized skills are required? And then you start building up those specialized skills. It's only then that foreign companies or even Indian companies will make investments.
Apple suppliers are not the only offenders. Recent examples include a BBC report in November 2020 that revealed how Indian workers in factories supplying UK's top supermarket chains were being subjected to exploitative conditions. The US-based Workers' Rights Consortium found that more than 4 lakh workers in Karnataka have not been paid the state's legal minimum wage since April 2020. Instances like these abound in India. Professor Rajesh Joseph, who teaches labor issues at Azim Premji University in Bengaluru, tells us what could be done to improve the lives of factory workers in India.
This is not the first protest which has happened for Foxconn or for any other industry. So what we are seeing is that when workers don't have a voice in the setup, right, then you're obviously going to come out in the street or you're going to have some kind of a violence on the shop floor. And India also, I feel the minimum wages is too low. And because of that, this kind of a competitiveness which comes up from your own question to say, now will the industry have an adverse effect because of these unrest? I think it's a little problematic to ask that question, because then we are asking that, then do we need to have a labor which doesn't have a voice at all, so that the production can go? Now that's a little dangerous way of looking at it, right? Because then we're not going to have progress for labor itself, because in the end, it is the wages earned which is going to improve the economy. I think we must start talking about living wages for our workers, right? So that they can get the benefit of what the economy is. Now, if state governments are also going in that line to attract industry so that they can make the labor laws beneficial for industry, then there's not going to be any voice from even the government. We should also asking how, in what kind of condition the freedom for the worker is there to address these concerns to the factory concern or to the management, right? If they think that if I tell something, my job will go, then they're not going to talk about it.
Foxconn plans to expand its factory, which has become central to Apple's efforts to shift production away from China. Employees there are now demanding a union to represent them. The worker unrest comes as India is trying to encourage global companies to shift some of their supply chains to India to take advantage of the trade tensions between Washington and Beijing. But it has exposed the working and living conditions of workers at our factories as well as their vulnerability. The government should impress upon companies like Apple on how they should treat Indian labor. Advancement in India's manufacturing prowess should not come at the cost of its workers. India should set a better example than settling for apologies from manufacturers like Foxconn.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.